can't hear it and that we're not live yet.
Okay, try it now.
Now it's live.
We're live.
We're live. We're live. And now, yeah, I got the alert on my phone and everything. That's why it was like weird. You know, folks, do you realize for the last 8 minutes, Dex, myself, and CJ came out with an elaborate skit that had to do with Dex having his fingers bent and broken by the feds. And you hear rummaging, Dex screaming in the background, him begging for them not to hurt his family. I'm mumbling some sort of dribble of something about markets. The master of the flux capacitor was doing his thing, and then somehow Google or technical issues or whatever the heck is going on has prevented us from broadcasting that whole entire thing live, and we did that whole entire skit for nothing. That was quite funny.
It's making me think, though, that some kind of algorithm thing wouldn't allow it. We were being censored the whole time. And then as soon as we stop, now all of a sudden we can do it. I
wouldn't know. This is why we all got to go. We all got to go to the dark web.
Well, look, I'm going to put it to y'all like this. We got to start over again. So as I was saying, with China coming out and saying that they're banning ICOs. Notice how the central banks have been very busy.
They're not banning ICOs. Everybody's spreading this misinformation. That's not what they're doing, but continue.
The central banks want to control this, and they're losing the fight to do that. So they're trying to push legislation all over the place, saying that you can't do this and you can't do that, and you can't do ICOs, you can't do these unless we approve it. So now they're trying to regulate it. The first step was for them to come out and say that the cryptos are securities. By saying they're securities and not calling it money or cash, opened up the banking laws so that they could roll out those tight, incredible banking laws. So by doing that, they can regulate it now, and they can tell people what they can and cannot do. Now, the whole thing with China is ridiculous. The stories that came out, they said that they were banning ICOs. That's what the headings were saying.
Yeah,
you're saying something else. What are you saying?
Well, I talked to my inside contacts, my deep sources that are in China that go by the name of Dim Sum and Gum Hoi.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're saying is they're both in accordance that they are not banning ICOs. They want to stop the fake coins, these stupid coins that are created out of nothing, that basically do nothing. They're useless coins that people are pumping money into to artificially inflate them and then dump them, because what's happening is it's a Ponzi scheme that's happening.
Right.
You know, it's a Ponzi scheme.
Right.
It's a total scam where people are buying these ICOs and these coins do nothing, and then like a week or two later, that ICO and that coin collapses and tens of millions of dollars disappear.
Gotcha.
China wants to crack that down, because any responsible government would want that happen to protect their citizens from loss.
Mm-hmm.
There are 64 platforms in which you could buy various coins that are in China. They're way more ahead on the crypto curve and the crypto bandwagon than we are. They're allowing right now 43 platforms that have been authorized to meet the criteria for them to go ahead and start buying these coins. That's all. That's all there is that's all there is, to it. So it is what it is, man. And people take it and they run with it, and this is what happens.
Okay, well, answer me this.
Riddle me this, Batman.
I thought, and silly me, I thought the whole blockchain situation was peer-to-peer, without government influence or regulation.
No. Again, and then the confusion's there again. This is towards the exchanges. This has nothing to do with the blockchain, or this doesn't impede people from purchasing cryptocurrencies. It doesn't impede people from having digital wallets. It doesn't impede people from buying various altcoins. All it's doing is when they're having these massive ICOs, especially even on these exchanges, that's what they're on having these ICOs on platforms. Like, for instance, you like in the United States, what is I think it's called coinico.com. One of those websites is a platform that you can get altcoin ICOs here in the United States and purchase them. We use platforms here to purchase ICOs as well. What China's doing is they're actually, making sure that these coins are going to ICO. They're not like useless coins. Like here in the States, we have something called the FUCK coin, where you can give FUCKs to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in China, something like that won't fly because it's stupid. It's based on nothing. It's dumb. You know, it's childish. It's tomfoolery at the highest, you know, level.
All right, if we
So,
could belabor this just a little bit more.
sure.
Okay. If you are regulating the exchange, aren't you still de facto regulating the blockchain by doing
No,
that? Because now you're
no,
regulating
no, because whatever
how.
happens in the exchange, okay,
Mhm.
is never recorded on the blockchain. For instance, you could have a buying and selling of a cryptocurrency and an exchange of a cryptocurrency on an exchange, and
Mhm.
those buying and selling of a currency on the exchange is actually never recorded on the blockchain. So they're kind of doing what almost the Colmex is doing. So it does manipulate the price of a particular coin,
Mhm.
you know, not to the level that we see gold and silver's futures, but just enough to do some market shaking. You know, but
Okay,
that again,
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the effect on the market. I'm
yeah.
talking about the autonomy of the individual. If I'm regulating the exchange and I do business on that exchange, they're going to be able to track that I was there and track my transaction. No.
If you were on the exchange,
Mhm.
yeah. If you're on the blockchain, no. Then there are people who say, well, the IRS is developing software; they can go ahead and track you on the blockchain.
No, I'm not talking about the blockchain.
Well,
I'm talking about the exchange.
on the
If you do
exchange,
business
yeah,
on that
because what's
exchange,
happening.
they know. They know what you're
Right,
doing,
right,
right?
right. On the
Okay.
exchange, because what happens is look what's happening here in the States. You know, the IRS is grabbing Coinbase by the nutsack and squeezing it ever so gingerly and saying you're going to give us the names of every person that has an account with you that's over $10,000 or $20,000 in
Mm-hmm.
cryptos. You're going to hand over their name, their information, the whole 9 yards. And I think Coinbase has been resistant to thus far, but eventually they're going to give in. Okay, they're eventually going to give in. So at that point, um, you know, all the exchanges, if you want to be a legitimate exchange here in the United States, until the U.S. goes pop and this damn government gets defunded because there's simply no money to run this bloated pig of a bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
Until that happens, yeah, they're going to want their cut of the they're going to want their piece of the pie. So they're writing that they're trying to create bit licenses.
Right.
And again, this is all going into regulating the exchange, and the exchanges will cough up because otherwise they just won't be able to operate. Okay, so but that's just the exchange. But the majority of the people are not on the exchange. The majority of the people that are having these wallets and whatnot, they have them on their phones, they have them on their computers, they have them on their paper wallets.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't impede what they're doing. So cryptocurrencies march on. What's happening here right now is on the financialization end of it, which is it's almost like a different animal in that sense. People want to create Bitcoin, ETFs, this, that, and the other, which fail miserably, which do nothing. But the actual cryptos continue to move on.
Well, GBTC is doing great though today.
That's one of the indexes, right?
That's the ETF, the Bitcoin ETF.
ETF, right, yeah.
People don't like to talk about. Whenever people mention not you, but when other people talk about, Bitcoin ETF, there is no Bitcoin ETF. I always say, excuse me, then what do you call GBTC that tracks Bitcoin perfectly?
I'm not
And
into GBTC.
then I'll
I'm
talk
into
about
the LGBT.
Mm-hmm. All right, so here's my thing. And I'm glad we're talking about this so everyone can understand it. All right, so you own Bitcoin.
Yes.
You want to convert some of your Bitcoin to whatever. I don't care if you want to convert it to Ethereum, you want to convert it to US dollars, yens, whatever. You want to cash out. You need some money. You need to raise some money, right?
Yes.
You have to do that through an exchange, no?
Depending, certain exchanges in certain countries, like in the United States, yes. But there's other areas where you don't have to do that.
All right, explain. Break that down.
Okay. Here in the States, we all know that the States and being a United States citizen is one of the most financially limiting things you could do in your life to be a U.S. citizen. It's the stupidest thing every day. That's why I'm in the process of getting another passport. I just can't deal with it because it's again stupid regulations like this.
Right.
If you're in the U.S., okay, unless you are extremely astute, you know how to you know how to get around the entire you know how to get around the internet, you know how to utilize wallets, you know how to get on the dark web, you know how to mask your IP address, or that gives you access to offsite exchanges where you can freely and anonymously exchange your Ether for Bitcoin or Bitcoin for Litecoin or whatever coin you want. In the United States, you're stuck into this is what I talked about a few weeks ago, and CJ would remember this. I talked about the ghettoizing, the ghettoization of cryptocurrency exchanges here in the United States. And what I mean by that is that only the government is giving these exchanges that are here in the United States a hard time. They have to follow in compliance and regulation, which is their way of competing. This is their way of preventing any sort of competition to the fiat system. It's their way of bringing the cryptocurrency exchanges under the control of the government. And so you as a U.S. citizen, you have no choice. So if you want to exchange your Bitcoin or your Litecoin or your Ethereum or whatnot, you're going to go to a place like Coinbase and you're going to exchange it there, and everything's recorded. And that's the problem. You see, so for U.S. citizen, and U.S. America's utilization of Bitcoin it's minuscule compared to especially what's going on in the East, especially in Asia. So that's the situation, All
right, so to summarize what you have said, those that are listening under the sound of my voice, if you are located in what is called the USA or its territories,
yes,
you are screwed.
Oh yeah, you're totally screwed. Yeah,
you are a slave. You're trapped.
Correct. That's why we have to go to the dark web. That's why we have the gold USB and soon to be the silverback, which allow you. And the silverback is going to be amazing because it's going to give you an encrypted Bitcoin wallet and an encrypted Ethereum wallet. Okay, so you'll have that off the bat, and you'll have two URLs. One you can use as a URL for yourself personally and for your family. The other URL will be a URL for your business and for your work. And both these URLs are registered in the dark web. Okay, that's where we're utilizing the silverback, and the silverback's been under testing for a while. It's been developed by hackers. We have to go to the dark web. We don't want this is the message that I want to tell the American people. We don't want their stinking internet no more. We don't want their stinking banking system. We don't want their legal system. We're done with these guys. These are criminals. And we're getting tired of participating in this criminal enterprise where they're doing things in our name by fleecing us of our money under the auspices of paying taxes to fix roads and whatnot. But it's being used to feed a military-industrial complex that's going around the world, spelunking in various third world countries, creating havoc and destruction. Who needs it? Our future, and for the future of the people to really, you want to live free, you better get into that dark web. You better get in there. You better get in there.
So if I understand you correctly, it's time for the American citizen now to start using a Tor browser and a premium VPN.
Bingo! That's it.
So we are the most free slaves in the U.S. Just great. That's what Ellie said. That's funny.
We are the most enslaved, lack of freedom-filled people in the entire industrialized world. I mean, there's an index. Like you have this organization called Reporters Without Borders, and Reporters Without Borders, what they do is they have they have a thing where they have what's called a freedom index, and the freedom index is based upon how free a country is with its laws, its jurisdictions, freedom of speech on both sides, regardless of how controversial the material is, how they treat whistleblowers, how they treat citizens. These are all measured within their index. We rank like number 41 or 43 in the world. I think we're slightly ahead of Romania. Okay, so in terms of land of the free, home of the dude, that's a wonderful concept. That's a great line from a wonderful song of a time when this country was truly free. You keep willingly participating in fiat currency and central banking. You keep willingly participating in the internet ghettos of Facebook and Google and YouTube and all that other nonsense. You will always be a slave. We don't need these people anymore. The technology's there. The currencies are there. The platform's there. Let's go forward and have the courage, the cojones, the backbone, the spine, the intestinal fortitude, insert line here, and go into the dark web and do something. We can create exchanges and commodities exchanges and financial futures exchanges on the dark web and using blockchain and smart contracts. Do you know how scary that is for these guys?
So yeah, but the only, I mean, that sounds great. It sounds like Project Camelot. But here's the problem: they have bombs, guns, and missiles, and we do not. If you say I'm opting
Okay.
out of your system, they will kill you.
Okay. Well, let's peel that onion a little bit. Okay, let's
All
peel
right,
that onion a little bit.
let's go there.
Oftentimes, people will say how powerful the government is, how this and that the government is.
Mm-hmm.
More and more people start opting out of their system. They can't do nothing. Okay, we're talking about a government whose military strong forces, supposedly, and again, this is all marketing material.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, the most powerful military on the planet, which is a bunch of horse crap. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these guys cannot hold a Stone Age country called Afghanistan. They can barely hold the capital of Afghanistan, which is Kabul, and they only control portions of Kabul in what they consider to be the green zone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They can't control a bunch of farmers in Afghanistan. What chance are they going to have against an American populace that is starting to wake up and getting really pissed off and knows how to shoot?
Well, I look at it like this.
Now, hold on.
All right.
The Pentagon, okay, they have done advanced computer models and war gamed the scenarios of what would happen if the U.S. military fought the American citizenry.
Mm-hmm.
And every single time, it is a slaughter in favor of the American citizen. The military is just not trained to hold cities and towns and occupy. They just can't do it. No army has been able to do it for decades. Just can't. You just can't do it. Okay, so that whole thing of they have the guns. Yeah, and what are they going to do? They're going to start killing their own fellow citizens? No. What are they going to do? They're going to bring the UN in? Who's the UN? We're the UN. Okay? And if they do bring the UN in, these pansy European faggot troops, these little gay little troops from Europe who wear women's panties underneath their camo, and if they had it there, they probably wear pink camo. Okay, these idiots who are getting butt raped in Afghanistan, they're gonna bring these little fagtards over here. Are you kidding me? They're gonna get smoked. They're gonna get smoked.
All right,
and that's the whole thing, man.
All right, now let's deal with a couple of things you said there. You don't believe that the armed forces will fire on U.S. citizens. Well,
most of them won't.
I would say that I believe they will.
No, I think most of them won't. I think the most mentally deranged ones will.
Let me lay out. Let me lay out for you my evidence to support what I'm saying.
Okay, and I'll lay out to you my evidence from the guy who helped create Delta Force. Go ahead.
This is gonna be awesome. Okay. All right, here we go.
That dude is a personal friend of my personal friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be fun. All right, here we go. Okay, so before we didn't know we were live or whatever, we were talking about how a few years ago some very good investigative journalists on YouTube were uncovering the fact that when Walmart closed all of their facilities around the country, that they were converting them into FEMA camp type facilities, and the mainstream media laughed and ignored it and whatever, swept it under the rug. Well, over the weekend, we have now footage of vehicles that say Walmart, something response teams, whatever, FEMA on it. All right. And we have evidence of people being herded into Walmart facilities that have been tricked out as FEMA camps happening in Texas. So now the proof is before us, right? As far as that's concerned.
So this is because of a natural disaster.
Right. But I say all that to say
natural disaster shelter in a concentration camp.
But I say all that to say that I do believe during my brief stint in law enforcement that everything is being compartmentalized and on a need-to-know basis, and they have been lying to the people at the bottom. Tell you what I mean by that. When you come on into law enforcement in that capacity, You have to go through a series of mandated training, and it's FEMA training, okay? Talking about first responders and what to do, different types of like disaster scenarios, things like that. Everything from terrorism to a hurricane, whatever, right? And it's pretty in depth. They're very long modules you got to go through. And not once did I see Walmart's name mentioned in there working with FEMA. Okay. They were not on the list. They were not on that big old thing that they showed us, showing us the breakdowns of the levels of command and all that stuff. They weren't there. That name wasn't mentioned. But yet, in this natural disaster we're seeing down here in Texas, what do we see? We see Walmart as a first responder. How is Walmart a first responder? I thought they were a retail chain. So now they're a first responder. So you tell me Walmart has been deputized? Walmart now is is the law. Walmart now has the ability to impose law. So they're armed now. Walmart is now no longer a corporate entity. It's now a person. It now has policing authority, and it has power of arrest authority. Is that what you're telling me now? You see where I'm going? So if they can do that, if they can do that, if they can do that, what else is it that they're not telling us that they can do? Because again, when I was in law enforcement, I was automatically a first responder. I had to take the oath. I had to swear. I had to go before the magistrate and swear in and all that stuff. So you trying to tell me that basically Walmart has been deputized by FEMA and now they're an arm of FEMA? They're part of the government now? So Walmart is the government? Very interesting. I've never seen any other retailer down there. I didn't see no other retail. I didn't even see no retail mentioned as first responders, as a matter of fact. That's in the syllabus when you go through the FEMA training, and there are several modules, and there's nothing mentioned in there of any corporate entity being a first responder. Nowhere in the training. So when you see this happening, and the story was already broke, we saw a video of people walking around with assault rifles and camouflage gear. We saw the military. We saw tank type vehicles. We saw all this stuff, and they're still denying that these FEMA centers are i.e. Walmart facilities. So you take that as the backdrop, and then you add in all of the recent shootings of police officers and civilians. All right. You've seen them shoot unarmed children. You've seen them shoot old women. You've seen them shoot pregnant women. You've seen them body slam senior citizens. These are American cops, police officers. We even saw a police officer body slam a man on his face inside of a Walmart. There's footage of that too. So I go back to say, if they're willing to do that, and there is no natural disaster going on, there's no state of emergency going on, there's just everyday carrying out, quote unquote, the rule of law, what makes you think that if they called martial law, that they would not blow away an American citizen and keep it moving? What say you?
It's what you detailed is this. Okay, there's one big, huge, gaping hole in this whole entire thing.
Hit me with your best shot, Mayweather. I can take it.
It's called statistics, bro.
Okay, go ahead.
These police violence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we know approximately how many tens of millions of cops are serving in this country day in, day out, putting their lives on the line.
Correct.
What is the percentage of these cops that have done these violent acts against the citizenry? It is like 0.0000001%.
I don't know. I mean, that's how much is being reported. That's how much you see. What about what you see?
Now, all police departments have a public record, all right, that is accessible in terms of what happened in every arrest. Was a person hurt? If the person was hurt, did the person sue? Were they medically treated? Is there a lawsuit? You can look up lawsuits on every single municipality in the country.
Right.
It is not the glaring problem that the idiot media says it is, and it's not the glaring problem that even some proponents in the alt media say it is.
Okay.
It's not. Okay, number one.
Okay.
Number two, why Walmart? Why would they pick Walmart?
Good question.
Do you know?
Good question.
Okay. I'll explain to you.
Okay.
Walmarts typically are the largest retailers in the area.
Right. They're the largest retailer in the world. Yes.
Correct. Very huge stores. Each store is like 300,000 square feet plus, 100,000, 150,000 square feet plus.
Exhausting to walk
Massive.
through.
Exhausting to walk through. Correct. Right.
Right.
Secondly, is this Walmart is also the retailer that has, in comparison to every other retailer on the planet, the tightest, most streamlined supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, Walmart's the most prevalent retailer in pretty much in every state across the entire union. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like for instance, if you're within New York City, they have, like Yankee Stadium. That's a red that can be converted into a FEMA red out for in case of natural disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Same thing goes for Giant Stadium, and the various other sports facilities here in New York, maybe some of the shopping malls and whatnot. Walmart, for areas that don't have the type of size that we see in some of the metro areas that don't have Walmarts. Walmart is a perfect location because you can put people in there because of the supply chain, and they have their own trucks. They have, we've all seen on the highway, on the interstate, Walmart trucks. Okay,
right.
So they have the supply chain, the network, the logistics in order to move goods. What kind of goods? Get the people in the Walmart, okay, and then it'd be easier. And they do a better job than the federal government to move food and water. The federal government is a clunky, disorganized, inefficient machine. It is not this live, quick response bullshit that the media likes to say it is, and like Hollywood movies like to portray that it is. That's why for Hurricane Sandy, it took days for these idiots from FEMA and the federal government to get involved. Okay, because there's so much machinery at work. Okay, whereas the locals and local aid companies were able to set up very quickly. So, if I was somebody, and I'm working with federal emergency management, okay, what I would my natural inclination would be, okay, you know what? Let's set up Walmart as the thing. Walmart's great for doing that, but it makes a terrible concentration camp. It's a great facility for temporarily holding people and temporarily, let me not say holding, temporarily sheltering people with food and with water because they have the supply chains. Walmart trucks are able to get out there quick, supply you with food and water, bedding, whatever the heck you need, medicine, okay, a triage center. You can get it done quickly. But it makes a terrible concentration camp. Walmart and FEMA camps are two entirely different things, man. Two entirely different things. And the whole thing is internment camps. This country has a history of internment camps that go back to World War II, even further. Okay, even back to the Civil War, we've had internment camps for enemy prisoners, enemy combatants. We've had internment camps for the Japanese during World War II. This is nothing new. So a lot of the legislation that's been passed for FEMA camps, look, well, I've told you this. In order to understand this whole FEMA camp and this whole martial law bullshit, it is bullshit because statistically and logistically and financially, it cannot be done. Cannot be done. I've sat across from people, who are giving me all these figures, and when I lay it down, the nitty gritty and the gauntlets laid down, it simply cannot be done, and I'll tell you why. Okay, the whole thing with the federal government. Okay, they're a clunky machine. They're very slow to respond. In internment camps, right? To understand this whole entire thing, you have to understand one thing. What is the primary purpose of a bureaucracy, right? Especially bureaucracy that works in the security and or defense department and or sector. What's their primary job? Their primary job is to what? Number one, stay relevant, right? That's the first thing. They want to stay alive. They want to stay relevant. They get $100 billion a year budget. Ooh, next year they want $200 billion. Right. $200 billion, they want $300 billion. So they're constantly creating threats. Okay, so when you look at the U.S. military, look at the U.S. military industrial complex is probably a textbook study. I'm going to write a book on this one day of what happens when a bureaucracy gets too big. The military-industrial complex is so damn big, so damn inefficient, that makes such crappy equipment, such training with even holes in it, that it cannot even adequately respond to threats properly. Okay? That is what's happening. They have a $600 billion budget. Where's it going? Well, it's going to the secretary. It's going to the secretary of the secretary. It's going to the guy who's the administrative here. It's going to the mailman. It's going to the boy who works in the mailroom. It's a bloated bureaucracy. So their constant job, just like the military-industrial complex, they're constantly creating threats. The security-industrial complex is the same thing. They're constantly creating threats because they need to stay relevant.
All right, I agree with you on the macro, but I'm talking about the micro. Now, let me give you, I gave you just some observations of what's been happening across the country.
Correct.
But now let me give you actual personal experience and testimony.
But correlation is not
part of my training. Okay. I'll tell you what they trained us how to do. And I'm going to tell you what I saw day in and day out on the job, too. All right. The first thing they teach you is that anyone who is incarcerated is your enemy. And that every one of them, at any time, given any moment, will stick something sharp in your neck. That's the first thing they tell us. They're not your friend. They're your enemy. And if you want to go home to your wife and children, you will treat them as such. So we were automatically conditioned that every inmate wants to stick something in our neck. That's A. B. When you are on the street and you are, doing your beat, do you know the first thing they teach you there too is that not only is every person that you pull over a potential criminal or has a criminal history, but that they teach you too. Guess what? The first thing they show us is a video of how a police officer can be killed within seconds every time you pull someone over in a car, whether they're armed or not. And guess what the number one scary boogeyman thing is? They're going to stick something in your neck. Now, I'm not being funny. I know it sounds funny, but I'm telling you actual training material that I have personally went through. And they showed us scenarios based on real life scenarios where an officer walks up to a car, follows everything by the book, and gets something stuck in his neck, and he dies. Or when you're working the jail, or you're stationed at a prison, whatever, something stuck in your neck and you die. So automatically you're conditioned that the citizens are the enemy, and that everyone wants to stick something in your neck. So now it sounds funny when it's coming out of my mouth, but I'm telling you that's what they trained us and conditioned us as. Now, let me tell you what they train you and condition you for when you're in the military. I can talk about this because guess what? I've been to boot camp. You know what they tell you there? It's not that everyone wants to stick something in your neck. It's that everyone wants to blow your head off. And unfortunately, your commanding officers that are doing your training, some of them were in Vietnam. So they can speak authoritatively about their experiences there. And they said when they were in Vietnam, that everyone was the enemy, even a baby was an enemy, because a baby could be used as a bomb. And you go over there and say, oh, there's this little cute little baby, and then it explodes on you and you die. So they were conditioned that not just every person is the enemy that's an adult, but children are also the enemy. So guess what? One of the first things they told us when we came to boot camp, you know what they said to us? They said, what is your number one mission? What do we do here? What do we do? And why did you come here? I raised my hand. I said, I came in for that GI Bill. I'm trying to go to school for free. And they said, wrong answer. Do you know what we do here? We kill women and children here. That's what we do. Hand before God. That is exactly what they said to me, quote unquote. I'm not making nothing up. I'm not adding or taking away from it. That is exactly what was said to me. That's what's up.
I'd like to take that drill sergeant of yours, put him in a cage for 5 minutes alongside with me, and I'd like to straighten that bastard out. I'll rip his arm off and have him pissing blood for a week.
And guess
What a son
when
of a
this was
bitch.
told to me? Guess when this was told to me? Right before the first Gulf War.
Go for it.
They were
Mhm.
already blowing stuff up over there before it was even
Of course.
announced.
Right,
As
but
a
here's
matter
the
of
thing.
fact, it gets worse. So if you've been to the military, you're already told that what we do in the military is we shoot women and children. That's what we do. And if you go into law enforcement and you're a police officer, whether you're on the street, whether you work at the jail, or whether you work for the Department of Corrections as a correctional officer, all right, it's the same training. In the military, you're told trust no one. Babies can be bombs. As a police officer, you're told people want to stick something in your neck. I'm
Well,
not
if
kidding.
you're in jail,
That's the training.
some of the training in jail, even when you go to prison and stuff, some of the training is that people want to. There are people out there that want to stick something in your butt, but that's a
That too. But I'm dead
But here's
serious.
the deal, man. I understand what you're saying, and I get
But
the
let me tell you about this FEMA training, though.
the who training.
I haven't told you about the FEMA training yet. Let me tell you about the FEMA training. I'm leading up to the FEMA training. The feeding training is over the top. All right. And the FEMA training, because automatically you are a first responder. If you're in law enforcement, if you're a police officer on the street, you work at the jail, or you work in one of the prisons, you are a first responder. Period. You have to take this FEMA training.
I'm gonna let you rock.
All right.
I want you to explain everything, and then with one sentence, I'm gonna bring down everything you say and nullify it. Go ahead.
Okay. Because of the type of training that is received by anyone coming into law enforcement, all right, what happens is you have a mindset already that the people that you are on the other side again is your enemy. All right, so that's number one. Because of that training, let me tell you, I have seen more abuse in the prison system and in the jails than you could ever imagine. And I'm talking about officer on civilian. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about officer and civilian. All right. The things that I have seen would make you blush. The way some of these people are treated. Not everyone in jail is a criminal. All right.
Right.
People need to understand that. But they're treated as if they are serial killers and rapists, and not everyone is. But they're treated that way. Do you know they purposely lowered the hiring standards, and the type of law enforcement officer they're looking for is basically a robot who's going to take orders, and not someone who is going to think independently for themselves. And that's how the training goes. That's why I say that yes, they will shoot an American citizen with no problem. They're doing it now every day on the street. Yes, they will punch you in your face if you're an inmate in a jail or in a prison. Are you kidding me? They will light you up. Why do you think so many people we've been hearing throughout the years are dying in jail? In jail. Now, I can understand someone dying in prison, because prison's a little bit more lax than jail. Jail is hardcore. You can't do nothing in jail. You can't so much as bend down and touch your toes in jail. You can't do nothing. Everything is locked down, double, triple, quadruple locked down. But yet, people dying in custody in jail. Are you serious? With there cameras everywhere, everywhere. So anyway, my point is, we're in a situation where people are on a whole different mindset, man. We're being policed by people that are on antipsychotic medicine. Did you know that?
Yep.
Straight up. Some of the cops are ex-offenders themselves and have criminal records. Some of them even drug addicts. I'm dead serious. But yeah, and these people are policing you and telling you, you broke the law. I'm gonna write you a ticket. You're under arrest or whatever. So yes, if martial law was called today, I am 100% that if it came down to it, they would shoot you. Absolutely. The officer, the military dude, yes, the National Guardsman would shoot you. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's just how it is. I'm done.
Okay. I don't care what the training is. I don't care if the police are trained like Navy SEALs. I don't care if they every morning they get up and they drink a cup of coffee and they get to the station and the thing that they shout out is what makes the grass grow blood, blood, blood. Doesn't matter. Okay? I don't care about the machismo, the hoopla, the hype, whatever they do, they gotta psych themselves up. I don't care how many roids they're on. It does not matter. Statistically, these idiots, okay, the small percentage of them are morons. The small percentage of them are idiots. There are a bunch of order takers. And all the FEMA training they got. Let me ask you a question. What happened to all the police and FEMA training during Katrina? What happened with that, man? In Katrina. The heart of New Orleans where the crisis was. Notice these, what I will call them, bitches. What did the bitches do? They went into the high ground where there was no flooding to the affluent neighborhood where they know that nobody's going to fight back. The affluent white neighborhoods that are outside in the outskirts of New Orleans, and they did door-to-door gun confiscation. Meanwhile, in the city of New Orleans, where there's bedlam and mayhem, what happened? What happened to the cops? With all their FEMA training, what happened? They dropped their guns, they threw out their badges, and they went home. Okay? They went home, many of them crying. What's happening to the cops and the military in Venezuela as they're falling apart? Right? As right now, Nicholas the Sweetness, the bus driver Maduro, is paying them in IOUs. You see, it's a wonderful thing.
Though, V, because you said, "Well, go back to Katrina." Hold on now.
It doesn't matter.
You had some cops that went home because the National Guard took over. Don't forget that. They took over. So they went home because they took over.
What's going to happen in the U.S. when there's an economic collapse? Who's going to be around? You think the cops and the military are going to work hand in hand? Yeah, they'll probably do it on a few cities here and there. They can't lock down the country, number one. Number two, those few places that they will hold, how long do you think they'll hold it for? A day? A week? 2 weeks? A month? They can't hold it for long. Oh, no. None of them. Okay, in the bleeding edge of holding cities. You know what Iraq was supposed to be? You know what Afghanistan was supposed to be? It was supposed to be a dry run for the globalist circle jerk dream of martial law. And it's failed. Terribly. Fix nothing. Right?
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Okay. So what are they going to do? Not against a bunch of third world Arabs and Pashtun tribesmen and Taliban in the Middle Ages, stuck in the Middle Ages. What are they going to do against an American? What are they going to do against real men and women who served this country with honor, with distinction, who love this people and can't stand the government because the government's been treating them like shit?
As far as I'm concerned, ain't gonna be no more people yet left because after they finish remote controlling this hurricane to drown everybody down in Texas, they ain't got nothing to worry about. And yes, I do believe they're remote controlling this hurricane. Whenever you heard of a hurricane leaving and then coming back?
Well, it's never happened, of course. That's definitely some HARP. There's no doubt about that.
HARP with 3 A's.
Yeah, exactly.
Then the next one, they're seeding it to make sure it's a category 6.
Yeah, it went from a category 4 to a category 2 to a category 3. Now it's back to a 4, and it's strengthening. And God knows how that thing's going to turn out.
Well, here's what I see.
Yeah,
here's what I see. Just for this is the part of the show, ladies and gentlemen. You want to get a pencil and paper and write it down. Here's what you need to know. Silver right now is at $18, right?
Yes.
The moment this super thing that they're bringing hits land, if it hits the East Coast with as a Cat 5 or stronger, you can add a 0 to this $18 on this silver. I'm just saying. It'll probably spike and stay there for maybe a minute and a half, but it's going to go there. Add a 0 to the silver. All right, where does silver need to close this week? It's a short trading week. Needs to close above $17.30. If it does not, then that is going to be the price inflection point where the central banks come in and they will finally get around to smashing it down. All right, here's gold. Real quick, running through this. Gold right now needs to close above 1307. We should have no problems doing this. If it fails to do it, yeah, that's going to be the price inflection point to come in and have the central bank smash it down. All right, the price inflection points is what we need to close for the week. That's what I'm giving you guys. Run them down them real mad quick. GBTC, for those of you following the Bitcoin ETF. All right, this one right now is closer to garbage time, meaning that the central banks or whoever may come in and short this one. This one needs to close above $711.87. All right, that has to come in. If not, that's the price inflection point, and the powers that be are going to come in and they're going to lick that one. XIV is a big deal, folks. That's a really big deal. XIV. XIV is showing that the market has topped out, and that's a short-term top. So right now it's at a very pivotal spot. Needs to close above $88.28 this week, which that's not going to happen with it being down almost $6 right now today. This one is toast. This is showing that the market, the rally in the market for now is over unless it can close above $81.13. All right, by Friday's close. Moving right along, GDXJ going into the junior miners here. Junior miners has had a nice little rally, but it's now unfortunately right here at the underneath the Kumo cloud resistance. I will put this in tonight's end of the report as well. But this one needs to close above $34.91 or it's toast. I think in my heart of hearts, I'll know more when I run the update tonight. But I think right now the pulse waves have been calling for rally alerts, but we might end up getting a crash alert by the end of the week, especially if it fails to close inside of the Kumo cloud. It has to close inside of the Kumo cloud or above, meaning the top of the Kumo cloud, or we're probably going to hit overboughtness and it's going to correct back down to the trend line, which is at $34.72, which is right below the price inflection point of $34.91 where it needs to close. All right, let's see what else here real quick before I finish up. Questions. Let's see. Someone says, do you believe that they can control the weather? Absolutely. We already talked about that. Let's see here. Let's see. Thoughts on the Petro Yuan and gold back trade settlement note. I haven't done any research into that, but I can just tell you from all the rhetoric from the past that I haven't seen that affect the markets at all. The one thing that I'm waiting for to really start to kick in is the whole what's the thing? The Arab, I call it the Arab Spring of gold. They're still working on that. But once that hits, folks, my goodness, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, dude, I've been talking about the whole Petro Yuan, gold back Petro Yuan since 2012. It's finally here. That's being launched before the year is out. And bro, here's the kicker for you. Ready for this? It's going to be connected to that Sharia gold. It's over.
Oh yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. As soon as that stuff goes mainstream, they say, okay, it's ready. They turn the spigot on. It's done. You already know what's going to happen.
Right now, the fat lady is like, she's clearing her throat, bro.
Yeah, she's getting ready to do her thing. Let's see. Someone said, what do you think about the debt ceiling in North Korea? I haven't finished doing all my homework on the North Korea. I'll just tell you what I've heard so far. I've heard that the whole thing with the North Korea, that there is some falsehood being thrown around in there. They're for whatever reason, they want to go over there and do something. I don't know what that reason is. I haven't finished doing my investigation, but what I've run across so far is that it's all hype. I don't know how you can call detonating the H-bomb hype unless they're making that up too. See, I don't know. I just know that that's kind of like what the word on the street is that we wanted to go over there and do some military action. And I also heard some murmuring saying that we were already over there doing something already. So I don't know. But as far as the debt ceiling, that's a fiasco. It has been a fiasco since 1994. Yep, every year we go through this, debt ceiling that. They always do some kind of chicanery to bypass it, give us 6 more months, 6 more years. Who knows? It's always going to be met. They're not going to let it go away because if they do, technically speaking, the government's bankrupt at that point, and then we become a failed state, which we pretty much are already. And they can't have that happen. All right, they can't have that happen. But the reports are that they're going to do something to give us like 6 months or kick the can down the road or something. And like I said, the thing with the North Korea, they did all the reports that came out. Bloomberg, was it the Financial Times or one of those? They all reported that it was an H bomb and that it caused a 6.3 earthquake on the Richter scale. That's what they said. So those are the facts that all the major news sources were reporting, that they detonated an H bomb, and it was over a 6-point magnitude earthquake on the Richter scale that it caused. All right, so that was Bloomberg and everybody else. So say what you want. That's just what they reported as the news. I wasn't there. I don't know. I don't live in Korea, so I don't know. I can only go by what they said. I need some of our YouTube people who this is what they do. They do investigative journalism. I need people like dark journalists and those guys to come out, or the Corbett Report. I need for them to come out and do some investigation and tell us what the truth is on that, because I don't know right now. I can only go by what I've been hearing and seeing. As far as the stock market, like I said, XIV, if it does not recover, then I think the Dow will surprise us and go parabolic to the downside. We have not seen a correction yet in the Dow, S&P, or the NASDAQ. We've seen just the markets trading within a trading range and just going up and down the range, just like crude oil. So it seems that, the Dow's down 200 points. It's not not when you're in a 500-point trading range. That's nothing. You're just going up to the top, and then when it hits the top, goes back down to the bottom, and vice versa. That's not a move. That's not a trend. We haven't broken yet. I'm just giving you the facts. We have not broken yet. Pull up a weekly chart of the Dow. You see what I'm talking about? There's no technical damage on the chart today. None, zero, zilch, nada. However, if you say, well, definitely the Bitcoin did. No, Bitcoin did not. Pull up the chart of the GBTC. You do not see technical damage on the chart. You see this enormous trading range of like $1,000 for Bitcoin and like $500 for GBTC. All right, so that's nothing. Right now, markets are just trading in ranges and increasing volatility. The thing to watch is the ones I'm telling you. Watch that XIV, because that tracks the stock market. It's already showing that it's in a corrective phase. It's no real technical damage on the chart per se, but we are in a corrective phase. And if it loses momentum this week, further downside is coming next week, period. And there's nothing you can do about it. Also, watch the Russell. The Russell has been leading the way this whole time. It broke 1,400, and now today it slid just slightly back down below 1,400. So keep your eyes on that one. But other than that, folks, it's just a lot of noise that you're seeing in these markets. There's really not too much going on. If you own Bitcoin, so what? I mean, why would you panic and sell it unless you were trading? If you're trading it, then yeah, you're going in and out. But right now,
unless you're a chicken,
you ain't gotta be shook. These cryptos ain't going nowhere. The only one that I'm really concerned about, and I'm gonna put this out here because no one else wants to talk about it from a fair point of view, I'm concerned about the Veritasium. Veritasium, I think, has a lot of potential. I think it's going to be one of the last dudes standing. But as of late, I've seen things that don't make any sense. I don't know if you saw this or not. I think it was in that one video that I did. I think either the video feed didn't show up, or either the sound didn't show up. One of those, and I had to put a note in there. But if you go back and look at the video, it's the one with the sound. There was no sound. I showed you guys, and it was on their website. It showed that the Veritasium went up to $160,000. It posted it in dollars. I've been seeing these kind of anomalies lately at the exchanges, on the exchange level, where they post some of these cryptos or moving something ridiculous. Now, I normally in America anyway, if you see that on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ, we call those bad prints, and usually they go in and they'll correct them. But then sometimes there is no correction. They're saying no, trades went off at that price. If that's happening, then that means that there is something really nefarious going on behind the scenes. I didn't just see that in Veritasium. I saw that in some of these other cryptos over the weekend too. And I'm just giving it to y'all raw. You know, I keep it real with you. When you see stuff like that, you do have to question it, because how you gonna tell me we went from whatever the price was to 160,000? That thing stayed up for hours on the website. I kid you not.
Yeah.
And when you see that, you got to start saying, what's happening here? How does Bitcoin, drop to 10 cents and then go back up to $4,000? Something is very, very, very wrong, is what I'm trying to tell you. And right now, Veritasium is not even on the major exchanges. So I'm concerned about that. I'm trying to remember what the other one was. I'm just going by memory in that video. There was some other, I think gold and silver, like during the holiday after the close or something like that, how it spiked down. Silver like spiked all the way down like $1, and gold spiked like $100 or something, and then they brought it right back up. It happened in after hours. That's in that video I did with no sound. Now that I remember it, yeah. And I showed you guys that. That's what I was showing you in the video, and I was explaining to you that there was something that was not right, and I believe that they were about to ramp the thing up. And then that's what happened. We broke out in gold and silver. And when they did that in their Veritasium, I said, there's something wrong here. This is not normal. How can you go? And here's the thing. They priced their Veritasium in Ether Delta, right? So how you going to change that and put dollars on it? They don't tell me that the Veritasium went and was valued at 160,000 something Ether Deltas. Come on, dude. Come on. You know how much money that would take, like $1 trillion to do something like that. All right, these are big markets, even though they're small relative to the stock market. These are still very large markets in and of themselves in their own right.
Hey, man, we got about 2 minutes left, brother. Won't you close up and how people can follow you, your work, as well as your closing statements?
Time is up already, but
time is up when you're having fun, bro.
I just got here, man.
I know. Well,
okay. Postwavetrading.com.
Stupid Google was acting up on us.
Google, man, we need to talk. Postwavetrading.com. Come and learn how to trade these markets, navigate these algorithmic waters, learn what it is the central banks don't want you to know. Postwavetrading.com. And with that being said, I'm gonna miss you guys.
I'm gonna miss you too, but I'm gonna be playing with my new phone that I got today.
Oh yeah, you lucky man.
Got my Galaxy Note 8 ahead of everybody else. I'm excited, loving it. That's about it. I think CJ's on CJ's mobile right now. That's why we hear that noise in the background.
Shut it down. That's what that is.
That's it. With that being said, we're done. Take it away, CJ. Over and out.